I rise to make a short contribution to the motion on the floor this afternoon. First and foremost, I acknowledge the work of the Standing Committee on Social Affairs and note the contents of the review report. In a nutshell, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation Services cuts across all the socio-economic sectors in Fiji, which includes supporting families without income, supporting children at risk, to improve services to both disabled and older persons, and ultimately to fill the need to empower women for greater value adding to mankind. With respect to the recommendations made by the Committee on the Golden Age Homes, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to highlight that the Ministry is now seeing a trend where old people are being abandoned by their relatives, and there is a growing waiting list of applicants who have been referred or have applied to be accommodated in one of our homes. More challenging is the fact that some of these cases do not fall under the category of old persons, but also include those with some form of disability, whether physical or mental. Currently, there are no dedicated homes for disabled persons. Thus, in trying to address this issue, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry is working with other homes for older persons for referrals, if possible, at the same time encouraging the communities through its awareness programs for families to fulfill their duty to look after their elderly family members and to access the government social pension scheme or disability allowance. Excuse me. Here I concur with the Honorable Bulawanitha for families to take ownership to look after their elderly in the loved ones. And they can also apply for allowances, the social pension scheme and disability allowance. In order to achieve this, the Ministry is also conducting care-giving trainings with the communities in trying to build their capacity to care for their old people. Further research is required to understand the trend and to provide a baseline on the need for respite care and training resources for the carers. Mr. Speaker, sir, plans are underway for the renovations of the 3 state homes. Work has commenced first with the Lambasa Golden Age Home, that's the Baba Singh Ashram, which should be completed in this financial year, with plans to include the other 2 homes in Samambula and Latoka in the coming years. Under the National Council for Older Persons, that's NCOP, the Ministry works in partnership with other organizations that have institutions that care for the older persons. These include organizations such as Heart, Fatherlaw Home, St. Vincent de Paul, Pierce Home, and Home of Compassion. There is an institutional forum that is made up of members of these organizations that meets every quarter to update and discuss issues relating to the care and protection of these senior citizens. Apart from its work with these institutions, the Ministry also works with existing NGOs such as Bar Senior Citizens by providing funding for programs, likewise encouraging senior citizens in establishing their district committees that would be the advocates in their own communities to look at the plight and protection of our senior citizens. Through NCOP, minimum standards for the care and protection of the older persons in the institutions have been developed and currently implemented and monitored in these homes. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry has engaged APTC and FNU as partners in the training and development of its caregivers. MOUs have been signed and scholarships have been issued by APTC for those working as carers in the institutions to be trained in caregiving. FNU students are attached with their homes annually as part of this partnership. Mr. Speaker, at this juncture, I'd also like to highlight that there are 11 residential homes for children in Fiji. 2 of these homes are state-owned homes that accommodates young girls between ages of 14 to 18 years. The young girls are often victims of abuse and there are also occasions where the court orders remand for young female offenders to await their court date. This home is called Pearly Gates Home and is located at 41 Murphy Drive, Domain. The services is outsourced to an NGO called Global Compassion, and the home is given an annual grant for the operations, administrations, and care of the young girls. Their needs ranging from educational needs to health needs, and for some special needs. Mr. Speaker, sir, the second state home is the Fiji Juvenile Rehabilitation and Development Center, that's FJDRC, located at Lakemba Street, Samabula. The center is administered by the department and is responsible for the safekeep of young juvenile offenders awaiting court decisions, and for some are on committal warrant. The remaining homes, namely Dilkusha Children's Home, St. Christopher's, St. Philomena, Home of Hope, St. Mina, St. Tabitha, Treasure Home, Valomani, and Lomani homes are all owned and operated by the faith-based organizations, that's FBOs. All children are in the age category of 0 to 13 years, and all have care orders. Admission rates is never static, as admission is on a case-by-case basis. There are currently 170 children placed in the homes, and the breakdown are as follows: Dilkusha 32, St. Christopher 27, St. Mina 24, Valomani Boys Home 26, Lomaniao 12, St. Tabitha 12, Treasure Home 12, Pearly Gates Home 9, St. Philomena 7, Homes of Hope 6, and Fiji Cripple Society 2. In total, that's 170. The divisional officers are responsible for visiting the homes and working with the children and, of course, the carers. This is done on a quarterly basis to review care plans and also talk about issues that the children may have. There is an institutional forum which is made up of members from these homes that meets with the director and senior staff of the department on quarterly basis to discuss issues and concerns that relate to the care and protection of these children. Mr. Speaker, sir, with reference to the recommendation on the increase of beggars on our streets, I wish to highlight the following. Currently, the ministry has profiled 266 cases on the streets of our cities and towns. However, not all of them are permanent beggars. Some beggars are very mobile and have homes, and they move from one town, one city to another when there are opportunities such as festivals or national events. Others spend their day on the streets but return home in the evenings, while some have homes and family but prefer to live on the streets, and there were those that are homeless and call the streets their home. Working with such individuals is challenging, and the success rate is very low, I must admit. However, there are success stories where some individuals have been given bean cards and are still selling, while others have been issued with hawker's license, and some have been assisted in finding work. The ministry has established a unit within the Department of Social Welfare to look at the challenges faced by the beggars. The unit works with other stakeholders to assist these beggars to find meaningful work, which of course suits their abilities. This also includes finding their families and placing them back, finding accommodation and linking them to other service providers that can assist and mentor. In situations where families could not be found, the ministry works in partnership with faith-based organizations in facilitating accommodations for these individuals. Such organizations include the Salvation Army for the housing of juveniles found on the streets, the Good Samaritan Inn, St. Vincent de Paul, and the state homes, that's our Golden Age homes, especially for the elderly persons and the mentally challenged. Before I take my seat, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to acknowledge the staff of my ministry, Ministry for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation, that's the family, for their compassion, for their dedication, their patience in their bid to serve the underprivileged in our society. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the 16th of March, we celebrated World Social Workers Day, and I take this time to sincerely thank and salute the hundreds of social workers tirelessly working to make our communities a better place for the most vulnerable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Honourable